If you recall, we last left our newly formed group in a quite literal bloodbath, or at least a side one. Destroyed zombie heads, hands, and a random single leg littered the floor. The group made the decision not to hang about in case anything further emerged from the bath, so they hastily made their way up to the next room in the wizard's tower. This room was a stark contrast to the one they had just left. 5 unmade beds were scattered around the edges of the room, which was dominated by a large brazier with a magical fire burning in it. Kalish was unable to tell how recently the beds may have been vacated, but Bjorn used his divine sense to rule out any celestial, fiend or undead presence within the chamber. Cora moved closer to the brazier, noting that there were charred, burnt pages within it. Too damaged to make out any details, she could tell they were perhaps letters or records rather than books. Asher took a look at one of the bookcases, finding it filled with children's books in a variety of languages. The group decided not to linger. The next room clearly seemed to have a damp problem. Asher inspected a bucket of water, discovering that it was, well, a bucket of water. Kalish took a look at a barrel, finding it empty but very wet inside. Whatever it had once contained seemed to have seeped through the wood and onto the floor. The fact he was standing in it and his feet were neither smoking or dissolving led him to the conclusion that it was just water. Bjorn and Asher moved to inspect a couple of other barrels, whilst Cora and Zinna took a closer look at the low plinth in the centre of the room. Zinna could tell that it was some kind of translucent prison, but Cora could make out a humanoid figure trapped within. Being a creature from the Fey realm, Zinna could sense a Fey connection. Asher failed to open the first smaller barrel. He tried a second, discovering as Kalish had that it was damp, the watery contents having pooled on the floor. Zinna, eagerly wondering whether this Fey creature could help her find a way back to her home in the Fey realm, sliced at the bubble prison with her short sword, just as Bjorn opened the largest barrel. He felt a blast of icy cold air as a sharp-featured winged creature emerged. The Fey creature, a green-skinned woman, took a deep breath and stood up as the object containing her was destroyed. She turned to Zinna, the first creature she could see, and attacked with an ice knife, instantly rendering Zinna unconscious. Zinna made her first death save. A fail. Seeing this, Cora cast Entangle centered on the nymph, trapping her in vines. The wild magic filling the tower reacted with the spell, transforming all melee and ranged weapons into pillows. Kalish decided to make an unarmed strike, missing. Cora, not wanting to risk another wild magic surge, made the decision to hurl a pillow at the nymph, again missing. The ice method made a breath attack, hitting both Bjorn and Asher, who failed their dexterity saves, taking maximum damage. It then moved over them into a slightly more central position in the room. Asher seized his 2 pillows and swung them hard. The first swipe missed, but the second hit the creature for 2 points of pillow-thwacking damage. Bjorn went next, adding a divine smite to his soft, feathery blow. A critical hit. Sadly, the pillow only did 3 points of bludgeoning damage, doubled to 6, but the divine smite added a further 4 points of radiant damage. Another wild magic surge resulted, causing Bjorn and the Mephit to become friends for the next minute, and therefore unable to attack each other. The Mephit was definitely looking hurt. The nymph used Misty Step to break free from the Entangle spell, but was then unable to make an attack. Zinna made a second death save, this time succeeding. Kalish was able to reach the nymph and swing hard at her with his pillow, once again missing. As Cora took her turn, the wild magic effect ended, and the pillows became weapons once again. Cora hurled a slingshot at the nymph, also missing. Asher, now wielding short swords instead of soft furnishings, took 2 strikes at the mephit. The first missed, but the second hit for a significant amount of damage. Bjorn admonished Asher for attacking his new friend, and made his way over to Zinna to cast Spare the Dying. This caused Bjorn's already fabulous beard to become even thicker and longer for the next 24 hours. But at least Zinna was now stable, though still unconscious. The nymph retaliated against Kalish with another ice knife, blasting through his armour for 19 points of damage. Kalish took 2 strikes at the nymph, missing with one, but hitting with the other and hurting her badly. Cora wild-shaped into a wolf and charged at the ice mephit, seizing it in her jaws with a deadly bite attack. As her fangs sank into it, she felt it shatter, icy shards exploding over her and Asher. Both succeeded on their dexterity saves, taking only half damage. Despite this, Asher was badly wounded and moved as far from the nymph as he could, knocking an arrow and firing, but missing. Bjorn used his great axe to slash the nymph to pieces, watching her collapse lifelessly on the floor. Asher went to investigate the body, finding a leather breastplate on her. The fight over, Cora took the chance of casting Cure Wounds on Zinna, the wild magic causing all her allies to be healed by 1 hit point, in addition to Zinna's healing. It was agreed to give Zinna the breastplate, as she was the only one who would be able to attune to it. The group decided to descend to the room with the beds and take a long rest, Zinna taking first watch so she could attune to her new item. The watches were mostly uneventful, particularly for Bjorn, who, with a natural 1, nodded off to sleep. He awoke the next morning to find that a certain halfling druid had plaited his beard, incorporating some pretty beads whilst he slept. Fully rested, it was time to continue upwards. Passing through the room of the battle the previous night, they found themselves in a room containing 2 suits of armour that appeared to be guarding 4 chests of differing colours and sizes. Bookcases edged the room, some notes carelessly lying on the top of one, and a larger chest sandwiched between the bookcases. Kalish made straight for the yellow chest, opening it without any checks. Luckily, it was neither locked nor trapped, and he was able to take 10 copper mechanical cogs of various sizes. Cora took a look at the purple chest, finding it locked. Zinna, armed with her festive candy canes, unlocked it easily. Inside was a yellow baby blanket, hand-knitted, and a soft owlbear toy, which she tucked into her pack. Asher made a beeline for the large chest, finding himself grappled by a long, sticky tongue, gradually pulling him into a mouth, inflicting acid damage as it began to digest him. As the rest of the party set about piling onto the mimic, Asher was able to break free from the grapple and now, badly hurt once again, made his way to the opposite side of the room where he could shoot from a safe distance. The mimic tried and failed to grapple Zinna, her candy cane appealing to its sweet tooth. Bjorn cast Toll the Dead, the wild magic causing daisies to grow wherever he stepped for the next hour. Battered by Cora and Kalish, it was Zinna who delivered the killing blow, stabbing it right inside where its tongue joined with the wooden appearance of the chest. Zinna was called upon to unlock the small round chest, finding inside vials of a reddish-brown coagulated liquid, which nobody felt like taking. The final pink chest was both locked and trapped, easily disabled by Zinna, and it proved to be empty, simply a decoy trap. Upwards they went. The next room was another bedroom, deserted. Scattered on the bed were some sealed envelopes, no name or address upon them. Kalish carefully opened one and found a handwritten letter in the same language they could not read. Bjorn studied the large bear rug whilst Cora investigated crates and barrels, finding them empty apart from packing materials. Zinner noted books on alchemy, religion, history and magic, and also a crate hidden between the bookcases. Her Harangon ability allowed her to leap up and over to open the crate. It contained a selection of seemingly blank journals, which the group decided to take along with the letters. Bjorn took a couple of pages of alchemical equations which he could not understand, but thought might be useful. Finding nothing else of significance or interest, they ascended once more. This seemed to be the final room in the tower, with no further stairs or exits. They were able, through group efforts, to discern that this room was some sort of teleportation circle, but nothing they tried seemed to have any effect. After quite some time trying to move objects, checking if the green flame braziers could reveal any secrets in the journals or letters, or whether or not the cogs could be inserted somehow, they decided to call it a day and head back to the Peace Warden's keep. They managed to retrace their steps and leave the tower without any further incidents. Upon returning to the keep, Cora was relieved to see no sign of Monty Broombrush. Kendall led them to the office of Captain Malone. He listened as they reported their findings, intrigued by Cora's drawing of the teleportation circle, which, with a performance check of 4, really could have been anything. Captain Malone took a look at the letters and the alchemical equations, remarking that a gnome tinker had passed through a while ago, and it looked like the kind of thing he'd use. He couldn't recall the exact name. Dinglehopper, Mingleberry, something like that. He paid the group the agreed sum of 5 gold each and informed them that Lady Rycroft had now returned from Silverhaven and had requested a meeting with them at her home, Rycroft Manor. In the meantime, food and board had been paid for them at the Crofters' Cup overnight. Zinner, ever the kleptomaniac rogue, did manage to swipe another prize from Captain Darrell Malone's office. This one was a portrait, hand-painted. Probably not worth very much. We will leave our burgeoning heroes here for the moment, whilst they decide whether to explore the delights of the Rycroft shopping scene or head directly to the tavern.